So again, we come to Romans chapters 9, 10, and 11, and we're taking up the question of Israel's disobedience, their sin, their rebellion in rejecting Jesus as Messiah. And the question that Paul raised back in verse 6 was about whether the plan of God has failed. And of course, he has shown throughout the chapter that no, God's plan has not failed, but was always secure, based upon his election and based upon his promises. And that God, in showing mercy is not earned, and God's goal is always to show mercy. And even if he hardens someone like a Pharaoh, he's doing that that is, if Pharaoh is rebellious and God eventually hardens him in his rebellion, even that is done in order to show mercy to others, which we saw happened in the case of some of the Canaanites when Israel entered into the land of Canaan. And we then came to this final paragraph and the question, Israel obviously didn't become a vessel of mercy. God didn't show them mercy as he was showing the Gentiles mercy in terms of when Paul's writing his letter. It seems like, for the most part, it's overwhelmingly Gentile. It's Gentiles who are coming to believe in God through Jesus, and the people who are descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are largely in rejection. And so why is that? Why isn't the nation receiving God's mercy? And the final paragraph is explaining that. So what shall we say then? Here's the conclusion, that Gentiles who didn't pursue righteousness, that is historically, have now attained it. That is a righteousness that is by faith, but that Israel, who had pursued a law that would lead to righteousness, did not succeed in reaching that law. Why? And here's our answer. Because they didn't pursue it by faith, but as it were, by works. They didn't pursue it by faith, but by works. That is to say, in short, they tried to earn God's mercy. And mercy, by definition, cannot be earned. The one way to guarantee you will not be shown mercy is to try and earn it, because it wouldn't be mercy anymore. So God's mercy was available only on faith, only on those who knew they didn't deserve it. If you pursue it on the assumption you're going to earn it or because you deserve it, then God won't show you mercy. And what happened was that led to the stumbling of the nation. They stumbled. And then he quotes what Jesus himself quoted in his final week of his ministry from Isaiah, "Behold, I lay in Zion a stone of stumbling, a rock of offense. Whoever believes in him will not be put to shame." If you believe, if you approach God by faith, you won't stumble. If you try to earn or think you deserve God's mercy, then you will stumble on the rock, which Jesus applies to himself. All right, so that's that paragraph, and that gets us then to this final, or not the final, but to the next chapter, chapter 10. And what's the question going to be? Well, Israel didn't become vessels of mercy because they didn't believe. That's what we were just told. But that then raises maybe the biggest question of all. Why didn't Israel believe? In fact, why doesn't anybody believe? Why is it some believe and some don't? So chapter 10, the whole of chapter 10, is going to be answering this question. Why didn't Israel believe? And so your task is to figure out what is Paul's explanation for why they didn't believe, according to Romans chapter 10. And I think you need to go through the whole chapter before you get the answer. So Best wishes, and we'll see you next time.